Inside McKamey Manor. They called it a haunted house, but what it really became was a place where people went to suffer. In a quiet San Diego suburb during the early 2000s, a man named Russ McKamey and his wife Carol had an idea. They wanted to make Halloween unforgettable. They spent thousands of dollars decorating their house with fake blood, props and costumes. It started off like a fun neighborhood event. Families lined up around the block, eager to experience it. But things changed. By 2012, McKamey Manor had evolved into something far more terrifying. It was no longer for kids, no longer for fun. It was a horror experience designed to break people. Those who entered weren't just scared, they were tortured. Visitors were waterboarded, locked inside dark boxes, nearly buried alive. People emerged, shaking, bruised, mentally broken. One man came out with his eyes filled with blood. Another's nose appeared shattered. And there were no actors in costumes anymore, only real people doing real things. The house was free to enter, no tickets, no profit. Just bring a bag of dog food for charity. But before entering, you had to sign a waiver. Not just any waiver, a 40-page legal document. It warned you of what could happen inside. You may be slapped, you may be electrocuted, you may drown, you may leave with broken bones, torn muscles, dislocated limbs. You may black out, and still people lined up. Why? No one knows for sure. Some say it was the challenge, others say it was the thrill of facing death. But everyone who walked in came out different. Many didn't last long. The only time the torture would stop when someone completely broke down. Only then would Ross call in his young volunteer Mercedes Ann to calm them down. She was just 15. She had to wipe tears, stop bleeding, and hold shivering victims in her arms. She had started helping out at just 13, back when it all felt like harmless fun. Over the years, Russ never charged anyone for the experience, but the cost was something else entirely. People started talking, videos started surfacing. In one, a man's eyes are covered in duct tape. Oil is poured over his face. Someone shaves his head while holding a hammer to his teeth. In another, a young woman is chained inside a freezer, screaming as a tarantula crawls across her face. She later said she had a panic attack mid-experience. She was waterboarded while tied in a straitjacket. It wasn't an act, it was real. One man named Chris had been through the manor once and survived. He thought he could handle it a second time, but this time things were different. Russ lowered him into a well. 10 feet deep water slowly filled the pit. He had to solve combination locks under pressure just to get out. Then Russ dragged him in a mental through behind a moving truck and began to shovel dirt over his body. Chris shouted, waved his hand, told him he quit. But Russ didn't stop. Because Russ once said, I'll stop when I stop having fun. People started asking questions. How could something this brutal still be allowed? A petition online gathered almost 200,000 signatures demanding its closure. Rumors began to spread. Some believed McKamey Manor was actually a dark web red room, a live-streamed torture house where people paid to watch suffering in real time. No one could prove it, but the fear was very real. Then in 2023, a documentary titled Monster Inside was released. It featured first-hand stories from survivors. It exposed the horrors in full details. YouTuber Reckless Ben attempted to complete the manor and expose what was left of it, but by then it had changed. It was no longer a full haunted house, just a backyard boot camp in Ross's New Tennessee home. Still brutal, still twisted. Ben posted videos, spoke to former staff, gathered evidence and sent it to the police. And then in 2024, Russ McKamey was arrested, not for what he did inside the manor, but for something else entirely. He was charged with domestic violence, attempted murder and rape of an ex-girlfriend. The charges were later dropped, but the damage was done. McKamey Manor was no longer a secret. It had become a legend of horror, a living nightmare, and even now there are people who ask, is it still open? How can I sign up? They still want to try. They still want the thrill, but they don't understand. This wasn't a haunted house. It wasn't just fear, it was pain, it was suffering, it was the destruction of people physically, mentally, and emotionally. It was real, and it never should have existed. If someone never offers you a waiver, tells you there's 20,000 US dollar waiting at the end, tells you it's just a game, don't believe them, because some houses don't want you to leave, and if you do, you'll never be the same again.